What are you working on?
Trying to get the wet charcoal to life.
So you're running a pellets in a hairdryer?
Yeah.
And burning cardboard down into it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It feels like it's still raining though.
A little bit. Slightly.
I'm wandering out here into the front yard because I found something interesting. And I'm hopeful I can find it again because I really want you to see it. Let's see if I can find it. And I hope it hasn't been eaten. Where are you? Come on, I know it's over here somewhere. Hoping the kids didn't run over it. Oh no, there we go. That's it. Right there. This is one of my favorite mushrooms of all time. This one's getting pretty old. But this is a Lactarius indigo. And it's not really that blue anymore. It's given up. It's already got little bugs on it. It's fascinating to me how it's like these mushrooms, they have such very, very short lifespans and they are almost immediately getting eaten by other things. I've picked a mushroom before and found that it had maggots in it and it was only maybe 2 or 3 days old. This one's got a little snail eating it and there's a bunch of little lice-like things growing in there, jumping around in it. I can see them. You probably can't see them on camera. They're almost microscopic. They're like little itty-bitty flea things. This is already food. But I know that because this Lactarius showed up right here, there will be more. It's pretty far gone. Usually these things are real blue. It's almost done though. I'm just gonna let it rot right there. We're definitely not gonna eat it. There's so many wonderful things to be thankful for. My friend Sam and his wife Shannon and his son Davey were all here yesterday and they brought me a bunch of plants. Now this is from Scrubland Farmz. Some of you guys know who Scrubland Farmz are. They propagate, they're the only ones that have the Rachel mulberry, which is the variety that I found and named. And they actually brought me a couple. I'm gonna show you. That is a Rachel mulberry. It's a very pretty variety. He's cut it back, but it doesn't matter. It's time for them to go into dormancy anyways. But here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, and there is one. And I am going to be making some more grocery row gardens and incorporating the mulberries. I'm so excited. This is one of my favorite plants here. This is a Simpson stopper. It is a native Florida edible fruit with kind of a, it starts out sweet and then it has kind of a bitter grapefruit aftertaste. This is a variegated calamondin. I did a video on calamondins years ago, right at Christmas. Calamondin cocktails at Christmas, where my wife and I made whiskey sours from calamondin. And I didn't even know there was a variegated variety, but Sam's got all the cool stuff. This is an unpronounceable plant called it's a traditional herb, and I will have to get the spelling on it. This is a mushroom plant here. The leaves actually taste like mushrooms. I've never heard of these before, some of these. Sam's got the cool stuff, like I said. And then he brought me some more comfrey. And this one is really cool. I used to have this in my plant nursery. This is variegated cassava. So far as I know, it's not super high in cyanide, but we don't really know that for sure. It makes roots. We hope that they're sweet. It's very beautiful though. It's often planted as an ornamental. Back here is something I've wanted for a long time. A few of you hunted them down for me online and I just couldn't pull the trigger because they were expensive and small. But this is the kafir lime, which is a really, really good seasoning. This is like the bay of citrus. If you like Thai food, like pad Thai, Thai curry, you need this plant. The flavor of this is just unbelievable. We had a couple of them growing in Grenada, and we use the leaves all the time in cooking. Once you have it, you understand. It has this incredible citrusy high note that is like nothing else, and it is so good. Have to have it. So I'm doing my very best here to keep this stable. I got one of these selfie sticks, which is kind of weird and feels vaguely wrong and evil. But I'm going to take you out and show you in the garden where I am hoping to put in the new grocery row sometime this fall, because there's not really much to do in the garden right now. It's kind of gotten to the point where, yeah, you can weed a little bit, I guess. And if it's dry for a while, I guess we can water, maybe. Maybe we could throw down some cover crops and stuff, but it's kind of cool and stuff is growing slow now. And might as well like plan out a new row. So I had a couple of ideas. This area right here is sort of my failed rutabagas. That's kind of annoying. You've seen this before. And this is the last of the great grocery row gardens here. And I was thinking of just taking this area right here and continuing and maybe putting grocery rows all the way down through this area. But now, as you know, I did this experiment where I tilled a bunch of seeds under, and we're watching and seeing what comes up. Just got a lot of rain over the last couple of days. So hopefully that's coming up. So I was thinking I could put a couple of grocery row gardens down here. Like, start out with a couple of them and just stick them right there. Or I could take some of this area and grocery row garden it. There's not a ton going on in there. Some carrots and things. Or, I'm gonna get really cool and complicated. You can come down to the other side of these grocery row gardens. I was considering coming back here and kind of hacking my way through all this mess. See this area back here? We had a bunch of wildflowers in here to bring in the bees and the butterflies this last season, and it was gorgeous. And you see I planted the triple plum right there, and I put a pecan back in here somewhere, and there's a chestnut. But I was thinking I could just start a grocery row garden right here, bring it right through the middle, and kind of do a shorty, or do a few short ones. Not sure. You know, there's so much to think about. We don't really have like ideal spots. Here we realize there's just so much shade. When this tree right here goes into leaf, this whole area is shady, and I think that tree really robs a lot of the nutrients. So I could put a couple of grocery row gardens right here where we've got this crummy looking bit of okra that's left over, and the rest of where we had the yams. But I'm not sure. What do you guys think? Where would you put a new grocery row garden in all this? Maybe back here? Maybe continue through there? Or maybe I should try just wrapping a garden through here and putting in some more random looking stuff. Yeah, it's officially a vlog. The cat showed up. Anyhow, maybe we just wait a little while longer, and in the spring, once we've harvested out these rutabagas and stuff, we just continue going here. Probably makes the most logical sense. I've got so many trees and plants I've got to put in that we definitely want to get something going. I got to put them somewhere. I can't just keep them in pots. I've got to commit. So maybe in a couple of months, we put in some Rachel mulberries and get in here, and I want to do one that is like just for animals, you know, like a nature sanctuary. I mean, just like one that has birdhouses and a pond and a bunch of pollinator plants and stuff in it. Maybe a few food plants because we just have to. And then I want to do one that is a medicinal grocery row garden. The grocery row pharmacy, where we have comfrey and elderberry and maybe willow and a lot of different herbs that we can use, chamomile and all that kind of stuff, wormwood. We're thinking on that. I have been collecting and thinking about what kind of medicinals we might want, because who knows how things are going to turn out. I think it would be awesome to have some home medicine right in the middle of the garden. But whatever happens, whatever we end up planting, I'm thankful we got so much space to mess around with. You know, I was thinking, oh man, I wish I owned land. I do this occasionally. I wish I owned land. And I'm like, yeah, but I got all the benefits of owning land. You know, I can plant whatever I want. And I've got a great landlord. I've got great neighbors. It's really chill here. And it was just what we needed at the time. So, you know, there is always a much worse situation to be in. I mean, imagine if I was renting and didn't have much land. It would be really hard to do YouTube. You know, the first place that we looked at that was, we thought we were going to rent, it was in North Central Florida, kind of near where I used to live. It was in Summerfield. And that was a house that we thought we were going to rent when we moved back to the States. And it was available, and I took a look at it. It had so much stuff in it. There were cabinets that were falling off the wall. And then, you know, I was like, you know, they said it needed some work. And we could have fixed it up, and they would have taken it out of our rent. But I was looking at that, and I was like, let's go look at the yard. There's a highway running through, like in front of the house, like a fast, kind of a busy country highway. And most of the yard had an oak canopy. That would not have worked. Can you imagine trying to do like a little, you know, alongside the highway garden under an oak canopy and try to do all the research that I've been able to do here? Wouldn't have been good. And at the same time, Rachel was looking around at different places down further south in Florida. Holy moly, they were expensive. We looked at a 2-bedroom place where we would have had to like sleep most of the kids in a combination of the living room and the porch down in Fort Lauderdale, so we could be near our parents. And it's like, you know, $1,600 a month. That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Looked at a trailer. I would rent a trailer. I rented a trailer before. I like trailers. But it was a pretty restrictive community. Couldn't really do much. No, it's not gonna work. And then we get dropped here, so just kind of feeling thankful that things have worked out the way that they did, that we've got this cool weather, that I've got all this land to play with, that you guys are so generous and encouraging. You know, I've had people say, why would you plant fruit trees on a rental? You know, and I've talked about that. Well, you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Whatever space you got to garden in, garden. You got a patio, garden in it. You've got a porch. My sister used to have bins out on her second-story apartment porch that she gardened in, and her kids would go and harvest herbs and tomatoes and all that out of them. I mean, just grow with what you got and cultivate a spirit of thankfulness. I've been blessed way beyond anything that I deserve, and I think all of us have. So thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. I was just kind of excited about that mushroom, and well, then start talking about grocery row gardening. What are you going to do? If you haven't read the little grocery row gardening book, by the way, it is available on Amazon. A little booklet. It's very inspiring, and multiple people asked me how I put the system together and how it works, and so I wrote a book on it. And I'll put a link to that below. It's not very expensive, and I think you'll find it very inspiring no matter what climate you live in. Thanks for joining me. Catch you all next time. And until then, may your thumbs always be green.